Former Press Secretary Ari Fleischer drops brutal Spygate truth bomb on Obama by Dan Lindsay Politics U.S. News for MadWorldNews.com. Former White House Press Secretary Ari Fleischer, who served under former President George W. Bush, just dropped a major truth bomb on Barack Obama for his role in the Spygate scandal. This will make your blood boil. On the same day that members of the House Intelligence Committee joined President Donald Trump and members of the White House staff to discuss the Spygate scandal, in which the FBI is alleged to have placed spies in or around Trump's presidential campaign, former White House Press Secretary Ari Fleischer dropped a major truth bomb on Barack Obama for his likely role in the criminal political surveillance operations. According to Breitbart, Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, who was also in on the meeting, which took place on Thursday, May 23, 2018. During an interview on Fox News' Outnumbered, Fleischer broke into the conversation after host Harris Faulkner expressed her disbelief that political spying could actually have taken place in the United States of America. I think there's a bottom line, Fleischer began. Russia interfered with our election, and we know that the DNC and John Podesta's emails were hacked. And if any American cooperated in that, that should be investigated. Yeah, Mueller never wanted to investigate that. I've seen before, and I'll say it again, an attack on one party is an attack on all parties, Fleischer continued. So I'm all for this investigation because we should get to the bottom of what Russia did. But to do that, sometimes you use in criminal investigation informants. The issue here that makes it so extraordinary is when you put informants into the opposing presidential campaign and you are the Obama administration deciding we will authorize the FBI to put informants into the Trump campaign. Why and when did you do it? Fleischer quipped. And we don't know the answers to that. We have not yet heard, and that's why it's so important for us to get these documents and for both parties see them to know. The decision made in the Trump years, I mean in the Obama years, to take this step has put themselves at risk. It is fraught with risk when you put informants into an opposing political campaign because we don't want to get precedents that that's how we conduct justice and elections, Fleischer exclaimed. When the issue of whether or not Democrats were invited to the meeting between President Trump and the House Intelligence Committee was brought up, Fleischer nailed it. The most important thing to me is not who's in the room, but what is the information that's brought into the room. That's what this is all about, and here's my theory. When the Obama administration realized that the Trump campaign may have had contacts with Russia, they had two choices. One, do we tell the Trump campaign? Do we warn Donald Trump that you may be infiltrated by Russians and you have a problem? They chose not to do that for some odd reason, maybe because they thought there's no one safe to tell, Fleischer said. I think then they got themselves spun up into such a nefarious theory. Why else wouldn't they tell them? They thought Paul Manafort can't be trusted, Carter Page can't be trusted, none of them can be trusted. We should not warn them. So if you don't warn them, then you create an environment for informants to find out what it is the Trump campaign is doing, Once they took that step, then it all started to spiral out of control, and that's why we need to know, why did it begin and who authorized it? What role did Barack Obama have? Did he know that the FBI was going to put informants there? I'll guarantee you the answer is yes. Fleischer continued. Let's take a listen. No FBI would put informants in another presidential campaign without permission from the White House, including the president, Fleischer concluded. I mean, how long are they going to keep up with this game? People know the laws. People know how it's done. These people know how it's done. So there's no way you can get out of this mess.
Isn't the bottom line somebody may have infiltrated in some way without saying exactly who they were in a presidential campaign in the United States of America?
Well, let me begin. I think there's a bottomer line.
And the bottomer line. I like that.
The bottomer line is Russia interfered with our election, and we know that the DNC and John Podesta's emails were hacked. And if any American cooperated in that, that should be investigated. And I've said before, I'll say it again, an attack on one party is an attack on all parties.
They took care of who hacked the Podesta emails. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? They took care of that real fast, the same day.
So I'm all for this investigation because we should get to the bottom of what Russia did. But to do that, sometimes you use in a criminal investigation informants. The issue here that makes it so extraordinary is when you put informants into the opposing presidential campaign, and you are the Obama administration deciding we will authorize the FBI to put informants into the Trump campaign. Why and when did you do it? And we don't know the answers to that. We have not yet heard, and that's why it's so important for us to get these documents and for both parties to see them, to know. The decision made in the Trump years, I mean in the Obama years, to take this step has put themselves at risk. It is fraught with risk when you put informants into an opposing political campaign because we don't want to set precedents, so that's how we conduct justice and elections.
And you're criminalizing politics.
So it gets really cloudy at that point, because you may have done it for the purposes of finding out if another country was working.
Correct.
Right. You may have done it that, but we are in the land where everything is seen through those rosy glasses called politics.
Well, and I don't buy that, we still need to see a lot more information about why this informant spy was working to gather information from the Trump campaign and giving it to the FBI and the Justice Department. James Clapper says it was on behalf of the Trump campaign to make sure that Russians weren't infiltrating, but we knew. The Obama administration knew for years prior to the 2016 presidential election that the Russians had planned to interfere. We had seen their work in Europe in elections. This was not something new that happened just after Donald Trump won the primary and was going up against Hillary Clinton. So there are questions there. But in the last 24 hours, things with this meeting have changed completely. Yesterday, nobody from the White House, nobody from the White House was going yesterday. Democrats weren't going yesterday. Now it's a bipartisan meeting where John Kelly is going to be there. It's a well-rounded meeting.
The second one.
Right, the second meeting. So the question about why the White House is there, well, the president, it was his campaign, and I think they want to know what was going on because they're trying to fix the system and rid the corruption inside of the FBI.
From the one counterpoint I would say to that, and this also applies to the issue of the Obama administration. The issue here is what happens if, when, and how politics injects itself into the criminal justice system, into the investigative system. So, the assumption is that because it was the Obama administration, Obama endorsed Hillary, therefore there must be some sort of nefarious reason why it's politically motivated. And then the Democrats on this flip side say, well, John Kelly wants to be in the room because he wants to run back and tell Trump. And guess what? This whole thing is classified. We're all speculating. We're going to have no idea what's in there until somebody leaks.
What we do know is Democrats initially were not invited, but then they made it very clear that they would like to be in that room. Although Sarah Sanders, remember when she was asked about this in the first briefing where they addressed this, she said, well, they didn't have any questions about this. They didn't request the information. Well, they didn't request the information. They weren't looking for answers. So they've gotten their way. They're going to get in that room. Trey Gowdy making this very clear when talking to Dana Perino. He said, so great. He's I don't care who's there.
That's right.
But if Democrats are going to show up in that room, he said, I'm not in charge of the guest list. if they're going to be in the room, they better show up with an open mind and tight lips.
Can I just
is that going to happen?
But the most important thing to me is not who's in the room, but what is the information that's brought into the room. That's what this is about.
Correct.
And here's my theory, that when the Obama administration realized that the Trump campaign may have had contacts with Russia, they had two choices. One, do we tell the Trump campaign? Do we warn Donald Trump that you may be infiltrated by Russians and you have a problem? They chose not to do that for some odd reason, maybe because they thought there's no one safe to tell. I think then they got themselves spun up into such a nefarious theory. Why else wouldn't they tell them? They thought Paul Manafort can't be trusted, that Carter Page can't be trusted, none of them can be trusted, we should not warn them. So if you don't warn them, if you don't warn them, then you create an environment for informants to find out what it is the Trump campaign is doing. Once they took that step, then it all started to spiral out of control, and that's why we need to know, why did it begin and who authorized it? What role did Barack Obama have? Did he know that the FBI was going to put informants there? And I'll guarantee you the answer is yes. No FBI would put informants in another presidential campaign without permission from the White House, including the president.
Wow. All right, we'll move on.
The whole thing is, except for Fleischer, he's the only one that said something. The women were not going after the real answers here. If the case was that they were afraid that the Russians were going to infiltrate the campaign, why are they going after Trump and calling him guilty? Why are they going after Manafort and Page and whatever? Why are they calling them guilty? Mueller is calling them guilty. The mainstream media calling Trump colluded with the Russians. No, this was a political hit job. This was a political hit job. That's why they put the informants in. And now we know the facts, that without the president knowing, the FBI could not put informants in. And we know Obama was rooting for Hillary. They thought she was a shoo-in. That's why they had the insurance policy to go after Trump and anybody else they could grab. Bottom line. And it's so obvious. Yet they're talking about the women. We're talking about everything but what was important. Anyway, I agree 100% with Fleischer in regards to Obama's knowledge of the FBI placement of spies in or around the Trump campaign. However, I do believe that Fleischer is giving a little too much benefit of the doubt to the Obama administration. Well, if I was Fleischer, I'd do the same thing. Why get involved in so much? Just state the facts and I don't want to be bothered. I get it. Is giving a little too much benefit of the doubt to the Obama administration when it comes to why they initially decided to spy on the Trump campaign. This was purely a political surveillance operation to benefit Hillary Clinton. There you have it. Who lost despite her side cheating. Cheating big time. The woman is a decrepit witch. She would have never won this election without it being rigged. It was rigged and she lost. Get it through. Tell her to get it through her thick skull. Furthermore, Spygate was motivated by the God complex of Barack Obama and others such as former FBI Director James Comey, former Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, former CIA Director John Brennan, and many more. No, actually, these are all puppets of the big deep state that we don't even know about, and they're telling them what to do. Because, again, these people are not for American values. These people are deep state, bottom line deep staters, bottom of the barrel, but they wanted to put in a different system in America. And who would control that system? Anybody that went against, I'm not going to mention, but you guys know, because Brennan and Obama claims those are the people that they represent. So you get where I'm going. They couldn't cope with the fact that power would be handed over to Donald Trump and his conservative base, because they want to destroy the conservative base in order to put in a new base, and it has nothing to do with Democrat and Republican. They thought themselves to be above our democratic process. They could care less about the Constitution and the democratic process, and you get my drift. And because of their inability to secede or cede power, they planted Trump's demise. Yeah, they planned Trump's demise. Yeah. Now it's their turn to fry. Yeah, because this was going to be a takeover. And what Trump was saying in the previous video when they interviewed him about Comey, what he said in reality was very, very truthful. He said, I did this country a favor by firing James Comey. That was just the tip of the iceberg. He did the country a favor because he's trying to dismantle the corruption, and they were Obama, Comey, Brennan, Clapper, trying to break down the system of this country, what this country stands for. They wanted to put in a new system, and it's not. You know what? You get what you guys get what I'm saying. They wanted a new system put in. Hillary would have taken this country to that new system where they want it, and it has nothing to do with Democratic or Republican, believe you me. And I'm not the smartest person in the world, and I get it. So you can just imagine other people who have the intelligence that are really read up on things, how much they know what's going on. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and again, thank you so much for watching.